How is your studies going on? I guess you are gearing up for the preparation. Here we will be starting with a new topic now, the air pressure. Okay. Air pressure, or what the weight exerted by the air, and what are the effects of that weight which air exerts on the earth. Now, at the start of climatology, I said you consider earth as a system. That means if this is earth and we give three inputs, one of the input is heat, one of the input is insolation, then what was the output we got? We have studied that output. We got heat in the form of a temperature. That is the temperature differences. And we studied the different kind of temperature differences. What are the various, what will be the different temperature differences, how it affects, how the insolation affects, how the atmosphere behaves, what is the temperature inversion, etc. Now, if you consider the second input is one of the very important input in the terms of an air pressure. So we are going to study the second input in the today's lecture, and what is the fallout or what is the reaction to this input we'll be again studying in this lecture series, that is the wind systems and world climate. So this is the this is the output. Now the third input which we'll study after the pressure, as you already know, is the humidity. And in fact, better right, humidity will give the output in the form of precipitation. And what will be the entire output? This output will be the climates of the world. So the world climates, different types of soils, different types of vegetation, different types of biomes is the basis of this output. And what we are even changing this, or we can say this as a biome part. So this is the climatology. Climatology is nothing but the study of inputs and the study of the corresponding outputs. Now see here, insolation, temperature, I think you are very, very clear till what we have done today. Now we will study the pressure system and the related pressure system. Again, very interesting part of climatology, winds. Now coming to the pressure, what do you mean by air pressure? The air pressure, air is what? Air is a mixture of different gases. And because air is a mixture of different gases, it is a physical substance. Any kind of a physical substance will exert some weight or some pressure on it. So air pressure is nothing but weight of an air per unit area on a surface of the earth. That is per 1 centimeter area, per 1 meter square area, 1 kilometer square area, or on our body, whatever the weight we are carrying because of the atmosphere and because of the presence of the air in the atmosphere is air pressure. Pressure can be high, pressure can be low, but the pressure will always be there. Now, when we say the air pressure, what is the definition of an air pressure? You should know it very properly. As again I tell you, the definitions should be by heart, and the definition should be written in the proper language in the examination to fetch a good marks. If the question comes, and the question generally comes in the air pressure, for example, what do you mean by monsoon? We are going to study the monsoon also in this. What do you mean by different types of rainfall all over the world? That is humidity and air pressure combined. And again, what do you mean by cyclones, etc.? All these topics will be covered here. Now, first we'll start with the definition of an air pressure. So, what is the definition of an air pressure? The definition says that air pressure is defined as total weight of mass of a column of air above per unit area area at sea level. At sea level. So the air pressure can be defined as the total weight of a mass of a column of air per unit area at a sea level. That means, in simple words, what is the pressure of overlying area over per square centimeter of land or at the sea level, or on the person who is standing per square centimeter area of the body, per person's body, what the pressure is being exerted on the body due to the upper air. This is the air pressure. Now, air pressure, generally speaking, it comes to around, roughly speaking, the air pressure comes to around, the average air pressure is expressed in the terms of millibar, which is 1013 millibar, or roughly corresponds to 1 kg per centimeter square, or it roughly corresponds to 1 kg per square centimeter. Or we can remember the other figure, that is 1013 millibars. So this is the average air pressure, which roughly corresponds to 1 kg per centimeter square. Now see the dimensions we are having. Obviously we are much greater than the centimeter square. The more heavier the person, the more will be the pressure on the person, because the surface area of a person is greater. But why don't we feel the air pressure then? Why, if we are standing, you are sitting at some place, obviously you are being subjected to tremendous amount of pressure, but why do not we feel the air pressure? Come to physics. Our body exerts equal amount of opposite pressure, and thus the outside pressure and the pressure from inside the body is balanced out, so therefore we cannot feel the pressure. But obviously, if you start again, my favorite example of a Leh Ladakh region. If you go in the Leh Ladakh region, now as you know, as you go up in the upper atmosphere, the pressure goes on decreasing. Why? Because the weight of an overlying air goes on decreasing, and therefore the pressure becomes less, and our body takes time to get acclimatized. The best example for this is, if you must have gone for scuba diving, or if you have gone for diving, or even while swimming, when you dive suddenly, we feel the pressure in our ears. Why do we feel the sudden urge of a pressure? Because suddenly there is a change in the pressure when we go below the sea level inside the water. The pressure increases tremendously. Professional scuba divers, or even if you are amateur scuba diver, whenever you go next time for scuba diving, you will remember that the guide asks you not to go too deep at a fast rate. They will take you very gradually deep inside the ocean. Maybe if you are an amateur scuba diver, up to 8 feet to 12 feet, not greater than that, and you will be obviously having an oxygen mask, but they will take you very slowly down. Why? Because as you go inside the sea, the pressure will go on increasing. So the pressure, decreases with the height. That is, when you move away from the surface of the earth, the pressure will go on decreasing. But if you go below the surface of the earth, the pressure will go on increasing inside the oceans. So here high pressure. But when we define air pressure, we are concerned with the air pressure only at the sea level. Now you must be wondering why the air pressure is always air pressure, temperature, we are considering only at the sea level. Now coming to that later on, first, how do we measure air pressure? Or how do we show for the places on the earth having equal pressure or different pressure? Just like the temperature, we use isotherms. The air pressure, the lines which join the places of equal air pressure are known as isobars. So what are these isobars? These are the lines which join the places. These are the lines which join the places of equal pressure at sea level. At sea level. These are the lines joining the places of equal pressure at the sea level. So the lines which join the places having equal pressure reduced to the sea level are known as an isobars. Isotherms we have already done. These are the lines joining places of equal temperature reduced to the sea level. Now why do we always reduce this to sea level? Why do not we actually we do not tell the actual pressure? As I have told you, isotherms, on the land there are different, we can say, relief features, there are different kind of surfaces, and therefore the pressure or the temperature will go on varying, and then it will be very difficult to construct a general model for the world. So to understand the general model for the world, to compare the pressure at different places in the world, or to compare the temperature at different places in the world, we have to have a single common reference point. What is the best reference point than the 0 kilometers on the surface of the earth? Because by mathematical calculation we can then locally know the air pressure or air temperature if we know the global pressure or global temperature. So 0 degree latitude, what is the pressure, or at that latitude what is the XYZ latitude, what is the pressure at sea level, and if there is a mountain at that latitude, multiply by that the local multiplying factor. Similarly, even for time, so that our reference becomes easy, there is no confusion in this, especially in the digital world, which or in the globalized world, so that we can know the different times very properly. We also use the Greenwich Mean Time, though the usage was much greater before than the coming of globalization. So again, what is the pressure? It is defined as the total weight of a mass of a column of air per unit area at a sea level. Average air pressure is around 1013 millibars, that is MB or millibars, which is equivalent to somewhere around 1 kg per square centimeter. Isobars are the lines which join the places of equal pressure at sea level. Now, as I told you, pressure, obviously pressure can be high pressure or the pressure can be a low pressure. So there are two types of a pressure. Pressure can be high pressure or the pressure can be a low pressure. Now consider a hypothetical situation. Suppose you are standing just beneath or below a fan at a full speed. What do you feel? You will feel some kind of air coming and settling on the top or on the body. That means the fan is throwing the air downwards and you can feel the air. So will it be somewhere similar to a person who is standing here and feeling the air coming downwards? On the other hand, if you are standing behind the exhaust fan, not on the front side but on the back side of an exhaust fan, what do you feel? If the exhaust fan is small, the exhaust fan removes everything from the room. If the exhaust fan is big enough, people even get sucked into the exhaust fan, or they are pulled towards the exhaust fan, or you feel lightlessness because if you are standing behind an exhaust fan. Why? Because the air is being thrown on the opposite side. It will look somewhat like this, and the air going upwards. So see, these two different types of a situation in which one air is coming downwards on a person while the other air is going upwards. When the air is going upwards, it has to be thrown by something. When the air is coming downwards, there has to be some mechanism, because the world climate does not have an exhaust fan or the ceiling fan at the top. So there is some kind of a driving mechanism in the terms of a temperature, in the terms of a rotation of the earth, resulting into formation of a, can we call this as a high pressure, resulting into formation of an high pressure when the air comes down on the person, and resulting into formation of a low pressure when the air is rising up. So what is a high pressure and what is a low pressure? The high pressure means when the air is coming down subsiding, descending, or in the geographical terms it is known as subsidence of an air pressure. I will write those terms afterwards, but just have an conceptual understanding, because if you can understand these concepts, then the entire climatology becomes very, very easy. So what is a high pressure? High pressure means air is coming down on the surface of the earth. The air is descending. There is a subsidence of an air pressure. What is a low air pressure? Means the air is rising upwards. There is an ascending. The air is rising upwards, or air is going upwards, or we can say the air ascends at this zone. Now again, one more thing you remember is temperature in geography is inversely proportional to pressure. Is inversely proportional to the pressure. This is one thing you remember very well. That means high temperature equals low pressure, and low temperature means high pressure. So these are the two concepts you remember. That is, temperature is inversely proportional to pressure, and high temperature means low pressure, low temperature means high pressure. And again, for rainfall to occur, when does the rainfall occurs? Rainfall occurs when the moisture holding capacity or humidity holding capacity of the air decreases. It condenses to form clouds. Clouds then still condense to form rainfall. So there is we can say, or it cools to form a rainfall. That means if I decrease the moisture holding capacity in some way, then there will be kind of an rainfall. If the moisture holding capacity decreases at high temperature, that is above 0 degrees Celsius, I will get a rainfall. If the moisture holding capacity decreases below 0 degrees Celsius, I will get the precipitation in the form of a snowfall. So with these concepts, let us understand the basics of pressure. We will apply those basics to winds. We will apply those basics to humidity. We will define the stability and instability of the atmosphere. We will define the cloud system. We will define the rainfall. And in the end, we will define some of the concepts such as cyclones, anticyclones, thunderstorms, lightning, etc. at the end of this series of the lecture. Now you are coming just to the enter part of climatology, but before that you understand these concepts again. Pressure can be high, pressure can be low. Temperature is inversely proportional to pressure. That means high temperature, low pressure, low temperature gives high pressure. That means what is an high pressure? High pressure means the air is coming downwards. That means there is an subsidence of an air. There is subsidence of an air. That is why we call it as an high pressure. On the other hand, low pressure means when the air rises upwards, or there is rise of an air, or there is ascending of an air, or the air rises upwards. Upwards from where? Upwards from the ground surface. If you are a person who is standing here, it is air is rising upwards, air is coming downwards. Now you know that temperature is inversely proportional to pressure. Then what will, in the high pressure, what will be the amount of temperature? Will it be low or will it be high? It will be, it means low temperature. Low temperature, while low air pressure means high temperature. Now one thing you remember, when the air is coming downwards, it is expanding. Why it is? Because it is getting heated. The cold air is heavier, it is coming downwards. Humidity or moisture holding capacity, if anything expands, its capacity, I'm just taking this in a very simple terms, okay, so that when we'll start with humidity, you will be able to interrelate each and everything, right from temperature to pressure to the humidity. Now, when the air is coming downwards, you imagine it is getting heated. Due to heating, anything expands, and when it expands, its moisture, its capacity decreases. Now, the air has water vapor. When the air is coming downwards, its moisture holding capacity increases. Now, if suppose this is a glass of water, and if I fill it full to the capacity, if I increase the size of a glass, obviously after heating, if the size of a glass increases, the amount of water holding capacity will increase. On other hand, when the air rises upwards, it cools adiabatically, or we can say in simple terms, it cools. Anything due to cooling contracts. Now this is what you know in the physics, cooling results into contraction. Now if the air parcel is going upwards, consider this glass as an air parcel. If because of contraction, the amount of water holding capacity will decrease. If this gets full of water, then the extra water will, if the amount of water holding capacity goes on decreasing, there will be rise in the level of water, and at some time the water will spill out of the glass. Why? Because it has less capacity because of the contraction. Now, if I can, unfortunately, I cannot reduce the size of a glass. I do not have that much strength. But if the size of a glass reduces, then water will be thrown out. Now come to this analogy here. When the air is coming downwards, its water holding capacity or its moisture holding capacity decreases. Therefore, high pressure, because of its moisture holding capacity when the air comes down, its moisture holding capacity increases. And because its moisture holding capacity increases, it can hold more and more moisture. And as a result, high pressure belts of the world, or in the areas where there is high pressure, they are, because the air is coming downwards, in the areas where there is high pressure, they are subjected to aridity, or we can say no rainfall. For rainfall, you remember, the air has to rise upwards. For rain to occur, the air has to rise upwards. After rising, first there is a cloud formation. If the clouds further rise, then there is a cooling, and afterwards there is a rainfall. But you see the direction of the arrows, the air has to go upwards. When the air comes downwards, in fact, there will be no rainfall. And the air rises upwards, there will be rainfall. Or there will be precipitation, which will be again doing it while doing the humidity part. Now, it is considered, now high pressure means low temperature. Low pressure means high temperature. In which season is the temperature low? Winter or summer? What are we expecting nowadays? It is winter season. So winter season means low pressure, low temperature. So winters are generally, I am using the words generally. Winters are generally associated with high pressure, because again we'll be using this high pressure, subtropical high pressure belt which has nothing to do with the winters. While there is high temperature during the summer season. During the summer season. Now, during the winters, as I told you, as the air is coming downwards, there will be no cloud formation, because for the cloud formation, the air has to get cooled. And when does the air gets cooled? When it rises upwards. So winters, go out and see in the sky. The winters, the skies will be very clear, very blue in color. That is, there will be no clouds or very, very little clouds. Very exactly opposite to the monsoon. And remember, monsoon is nothing but a summer season, wet summer season. Okay, because we are having two kinds of a summer season, dry summer season and rainfall is wet summer season. So winters we do not get any rainfall. That means high pressure generally occurs due to low temperature. High pressure means low temperature. It is the winter season. It is characterized by no rainfall. It is characterized by clear sky. Aridity in the atmosphere. Or no precipitation. No precipitation. While the low pressure is characterized by clouds, precipitation. By clouds, precipitation. That is, it is characterized by rainfall, etc. Now, why does it takes place? We'll do it later. Now, India, as I told you, India is a special country. So, in some parts of India, we do get rainfall in the form of western disturbances during the winter season. But most of part of the India and most of the rainfall in India, we get it during the summer season, except for northwest India, where we have rainfall during the winter season due to the western disturbances. Now, what are these western disturbances? We will do it later on. So, we have this type of climate. Now, what you will call this kind of a atmosphere, which is having low temperature? Okay, forget about the temperature. Clear sky and no precipitation. That means you do not have to worry about when you are going out, you do not have to worry about what will be the weather. That means there is a stable weather. You will call this as a stable weather because you do not have to carry umbrellas, you do not have to check the weather reports, you do not have to see when it is going to rain, you do not have to worry about the wind systems, etc. because there is high pressure over here. So, such kind of a high pressure promotes stability in the atmosphere. It promotes stability in the atmosphere, while low pressure promotes instability in the atmosphere. Promotes instability in the atmosphere or in the weather conditions. It promotes instability. What do you mean by instability? The weather may change any time. There may be sudden rainfall, there may be sunshine, there may be cloud, there may be winds, etc. Now coming to this part, because we are recording this lectures in the winters. Winters have just started. Now, in which season can you hear your friend who is staying in the surrounding room, if the walls are thick enough, or who is talking to someone in the balcony, you can hear the voice clearly, or the voices from the surrounding more clearly, or from the rail route, the train passing by more clearly during winters or during the summer season. If you are not experienced, try to experience it. The air, because it is denser during the winter season. Why the air is denser? Because it is coming downwards, so the audible, so therefore whispers become more audible. You can hear far away noise also during the winter season, while during the summer season, as the air is rising upwards, the air is less denser, and therefore the sound does not travel the farther distance during the summer season. Now such kind we will again revise, we have two kinds of pressure. High pressure, it means when the air comes down, it is subsidence, it is called a subsiding air, or coming down of air. We have low pressure when the air is rising upwards. Now temperature being inversely proportional to pressure, high pressure involves low temperature, while low pressure involves high temperature. Generally winters, high pressure. In fact, in the winters there is always an high pressure because it is inversely proportional to temperature. There are clear skies in the winters because there is no cloud formation. There is aridity or no rainfall, what we call as stability in the atmosphere, while the summers have clouds, precipitation and instability in the atmosphere. Now coming to, because I am using this term because I expect that you are reading NCERTs properly. See, with only general studies being the passing criteria for preliminary examination, and obviously general studies carrying a very, very heavy high weightage in the mains examination, you have to be very clear, out of which geography forms a very important part. If you see the toughness of the questions in the geography, they are of moderately tough, but they are very, very conceptual, or sometimes they also ask you very factual like last year. So you have to be, and these are the questions which you should not miss, because the more the competition, there will be more fight for even 1.33 marks, because negative marking is 0.33, so 0.33, 0.6 or even 1 mark will have lot of competition, and therefore you have expected, when you are competing for the best services, you are expected to be the best one. So keep on, so these are the portions you focus: geography, history, polity. That is the some of the basic things which do not change. You should not lose the marks in them. Okay. Now, therefore, again see this low, see this: subsidence, winters, clear sky, aridity, no precipitation, stability in the atmosphere, and low pressure. Now, coming to this kind of high pressure conditions are known as an anticyclonic conditions. They are known as anticyclonic conditions. While this type of conditions are known as cyclonic conditions. These are known as cyclonic conditions. So we have anticyclonic conditions. Again, I am focusing, see the words, I am not writing anticyclone here, I am writing anticyclonic conditions. I am not writing cyclone here, I am writing cyclonic conditions. So when the anticyclonic conditions, when the book says about anticyclonic condition, you should know it is in high pressure region. When the book says about the low cyclonic and cyclonic conditions, you should know that it is a low pressure region. So the pressure is of two types: anticyclonic or high pressure, and cyclonic conditions or low pressure. Cyclonic conditions promote instability in the atmosphere, which means precipitation, cloud formation, higher temperature, which we generally experience during the summer season. Again, the anticyclonic conditions promote stability in the atmosphere. When we say stability, means there is no precipitation. So obviously, when there is no precipitation, the clear skies will be there, because cloud will yield precipitation, or vice versa, clear skies will be there. Obviously, clear skies won't give any precipitation. Winter seasons are generally associated with having low temperature. Now, why I am using this word cyclonic and anticyclonic conditions? It is because your standard 11th NCERT uses these words very properly. So when you are reading temperature, pressure of standard 11th NCERT, don't get confused. Of anticyclonic conditions is different from anticyclone. Cyclonic conditions is different from cyclones. Cyclones are again of two types, which will come to later part. Now with this, these are the basics you should remember. So here this is how we have interrelated the three inputs. Pressure is one input, temperature is other input. This is one input itself, resulting into formation of winds. This is the one input which we have studied, and the third input in the form of humidity. This is the third input which we have studied. Now again, high pressure means low temperature, low pressure means high temperature. So summers we are having in India, India comes under the influence of a low pressure belt, while during the winter season India comes under the influence of an high pressure belt. So with this basic will come to the distribution of pressure belts in the world. Now, the next topic which we are going to study are the pressure belts of the world. That means we are going to study the distribution of pressure or horizontal pressure belts of the world. Pressure belts of the world. Or we can say horizontal distribution of pressure. Horizontal distribution of pressure. This is the topic. Now again, will study the concept here and will then write the different types of pressure belt in the world. Now you know that on the surface of the earth, equator has heat, or equator is heated because it receives the direct sun rays, while the polar regions are extremely cold. So obviously the equatorial belt should be having low pressure and the polar region should be having the high pressure. So there is no doubt about the concept that equatorial regions should be having that is, if we take this as north and this is as south, so the equatorial region should be having low pressure and the polar region should be having an high pressure. At the equator, the air gets heated. We know this, at the equator, the air is getting heated. Because of the heating of the air, when we say low pressure, the air rises upwards. So the air rises here from different directions. The air rises here in the equatorial regions, resulting into formation of an equatorial low pressure belt. But you also know that the earth is rotating, and due to the rotation of the earth, after reaching the certain height, the air gets diverted into two different directions. That is, there is a divergence of the air into two different directions. Now, in ideal circumstances, before coming to the ideal circumstances, again you remember that there is extremely cold here in the polar regions. And because of extreme cold in the polar region, the air comes down, or the air, we can say, descend in the polar region, resulting into formation of an high pressure belt in the polar region. Why? Because of the extreme cooling of the Earth's surface. So we have, because of heat here, the air is rising upwards at the equator, and because of the cooling, the air is descending down at the poles. Now I have not joined this lines you see here. Ideally, again I am saying ideally, so I am showing with different color. Ideally, the air which rises here upwards should go and settle down directly at the polar regions, completing one pressure belt. So this is how the entire pressure distribution of the pressure on the earth should be. That is, there should be high pressure belt in ideal conditions, and the air which rises upwards should flow in opposite direction and go and settle down at the earth's surface, go and settle down at the polar regions. But this is not what is happening. The air which rises at the equator, why does the air rise at the equator? Because of extreme heat at the equator, goes upwards, diverges into two different sides, and it goes and but it does not go and settle down. This should be the ideal distribution of the pressure belts. But what happens in reality? In the reality, the pressure belts are not like this. So the air which rises upwards here goes up to a certain distance, and after a certain distance it goes and settles at around 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemispheres. The air will go and settle at this latitudes in both the hemispheres. While the air from here, so the air, but also the air from here, which after settling down does not travel in such a way, it goes and it still rises at around gets diverted into two different directions. It meets this way. Here also the air after settling down travels on the ground surface, and after going at 60 degrees in latitudes in both the hemisphere, it rises upwards and then it is diverges into two different directions. And after flowing, it flows in this directions. So you can see here what is actually happening on the surface of the earth. See the direction of these arrows. There is a low pressure belt which is created, which I am showing by L, equatorial low pressure belt. Why it is created? This is created due to heating up of the earth's surface. Ideally, the air should have moved and traveled and got settled into the polar region, resulting into high pressure belt, which I am showing by H here. So we have two high pressure belts due to at the polar regions. Resulting into formation of an again high pressure belt. Why? Because of extreme cold. But again you see there are two areas in the world where the air at one place is coming downwards, while at the other place the air is going upwards. So here it is coming downwards, while here you can see it is going upwards. So this happens between 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemisphere. That is between 30 to 35 degree latitude in the northern hemisphere and 30 to 35 degree latitude in the southern hemisphere. What does it result into? Here the air is coming downwards, settling. So obviously when the air is coming downwards, it is an high pressure belt, again shown by an H. Again here it is high pressure belt. While on other hand, here there is a low pressure belt is created between 60 to 65 degrees latitudes in both the hemispheres. Between 60 to 65 degree latitudes in both the hemispheres. So when the air here, you can see what is the direction of the air. The air here is going upwards. The air from here is going upwards at 60 to 65 degree latitudes. What we will call this as a low pressure belt. We will call this as a low pressure belt. So we have equatorial low pressure belt. We have, I will write this all down here so that you will be able to So this is how the world distribution of the pressure belts are there. So we have equatorial low pressure belt. Why? It's due to high heat. We have polar high pressure belts due to extreme coldness. This is understood. But then why does the air after rising upwards does not travel the entire distance, but it travels midway and settles down? Now at 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemisphere, air settles down and creates, when the air is settling down, as I say, it creates an high pressure belt. Now the high pressure belt, as I told you, the general rule is there should be cold temperature. So you can understand why the polar regions are having high pressure belt. But what we do not understand is why there is a high pressure belt between 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemisphere. Are these latitudes cold enough? India, does it fall between these latitudes? Obviously, there are some parts of India which fall between these latitudes. Is there or we can say, is there this regions, are these regions having totally cold climate throughout the year? That is between 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemispheres. Open your atlas, you will see what countries are located in that latitude. You will see hot deserts are located there. You will see some of the regions are located there. Now, these regions obviously do not have winters throughout the year. Now, in fact, except for 2-3 cold season, except for 2-3 winter months, most of this part between 30 to 35 degree latitudes are having summer season. So why does the air is settling down? On other hand, 60 to 65 degree latitudes, that is, these are more or less cold regions, not as cold as 90 degrees polar regions, but comparatively colder than 30 to 35 degree latitude. Then why is there a low pressure here? Or am I making any mistake? No, there is a low pressure between 60 to 65 degree latitude, while there is a high pressure between 30 to 35 degree latitudes. The reason lies in the rotation of the earth. Now, the earth is rotating at the same time. It is continuously rotating, and as a result of this, when the earth is rotating, the winds are thrown into different directions. But over the period of time, due to the rotation of the earth, they do not travel this entire distance and settle down at the poles. They travel this distance and come and settle down in the between 30 to 35 degree latitude, resulting into formation of an high pressure belt. And because this region is not tropical region, what is a tropical region? Tropical is between Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This is not properly a temperate region. So this is a subtropical belt. That is not entirely tropical. This is not entirely temperate. This is a subtropical belt, and therefore we are having subtropical high pressure belt. Now, what is the origin of a subtropical high pressure belt? The origin of a subtropical high pressure belt lies not in the heat or coldness, but in the rotation of the earth. So this belt is due to the rotation of the earth. Similarly, the subpolar, that is not exactly polar region, but near the polar region, subpolar low pressure belt. The subpolar low pressure belt has its origin again due to the rotation of the earth. Now, due to the rotation of the earth, the winds here rise and are thrown in different directions. The winds, when they rise and are thrown in different directions, they diverge, mix. The one settles down at high pressure polar belt, while the one settles down here. So in this region, due to the rotation of the earth, a low pressure is created, and here, due to the rotation of the earth, high pressure is created. So we have this kind of a belts. So can we say that the equatorial, again see, can we say the equatorial low pressure belt and the polar high pressure belt are due to coldness and temperature, coldness and hotness? Again, I am asking you, why there is an equatorial low pressure belt? It is due to extreme heating. So we can say this is a thermally induced, or there is thermal reason for this. We can say it is a thermally created low pressure belt. That means due to extremely low temperature. Again, this high pressure belt is thermally created. This high pressure belt is thermally created. But the two pressure belts, that is what are shown in red color, that is between 60 to 65 degrees Celsius in both the latitudes, 60 to 65 degree latitudes in northern hemisphere and 60 to 65 degree latitude in the southern hemisphere, is not thermally created. Actually, it should have been a low pressure belt because uska temperature is actually less than this temperature. The temperature here is actually less than the temperature at 30 to 35 degree latitude, but it is a low pressure belt. On other hand, the temperature at 30 to 35 degree latitude is higher than this temperature, but it is a high pressure belt, so that means these are not thermally created. So why are they created? They are created due to the rotation of the earth. Due to the rotation of the earth, the air here subsidies or comes down, resulting into creation of an high pressure belt between 30 to 35 degree latitude in the northern hemisphere, between 30 to 35 degree latitude in the southern hemisphere. And similarly, here the rotation of the earth results into winds being thrown in different directions, resulting into in the upper atmosphere. Due to the rotation of the earth, the winds are thrown into different directions, resulting into creation of an low pressure belt between 60 to 65 degree latitudes in the northern hemisphere and 60 to 65 degree latitude in the southern hemisphere. So here temperature is not the reason. So that means we call this pressure belts, which are formed due to the rotation of the earth, as dynamically induced pressure belts. As dynamically induced or dynamically created pressure belts. That is, these two pressure belts are dynamically created. These two pressure belts are dynamically created. Thus, we have equatorial low pressure belt, we have subtropical high pressure belt, we have, again in both the hemispheres, we have subpolar low pressure belt, in both the hemispheres, and we have polar high pressure belt in both the hemispheres. We have polar high pressure belt in both the hemispheres. So I will write this full form later on. So this is how the pressure belts are there. So what is the reason for the pressure belts? The pressure belts, we can say, are created due to the temperature differences and also due to the rotation of the earth. There are 7 different types of pressure belts. The equatorial low pressure belt is thermally created. Because of the heating up of the wind at the equator, the air rises upwards, and after going upwards, it diverges into different direction, resulting into creation of an low pressure belt in this region. On other hand, due to extreme cold, the polar high pressure belt is again thermally created. Thermally created means temperature, whether high or less, is the only factor. This is created because of the extreme cold, and because of the extreme cold, the air comes downward, because the cold air is heavier. The warm air is lighter. The lighter air rises upwards. The heavier air comes downwards. So the cold air being heavier, it comes downwards, resulting in the formation of an high pressure belt, again which is thermally created. But due to the rotation of the earth, there are 4 more pressure belts which are dynamically created. What do you mean by dynamically created? Means the thermal or temperature is not the factor. It is due to the rotation of the earth. These are subtropical high pressure belt and subpolar low pressure belt. The subtropical high pressure belt is located between 30 to 35 degree latitudes in both the hemispheres, which due to the rotation of the earth, the air subsides, and on the other hand, the subpolar low pressure belt is created due to the again rotation of the earth, where at a certain height from the ground the air is thrown into different direction, resulting to creation of a subpolar low pressure belt. So these are the different dimensions of different pressure belts of the world. This is just a rough sketch. This is not what not you are going to write in the examination, but I hope you have understood the pressure system. Now we'll continue this in the next lecture, that is the pressure part 2. Till that time, again revise this. So thank you.